Hello, my name is Hunter Cataclesi. Today I will discuss the food and clothing industry toll on the environment and suggest sustainable solutions for consumers. My purpose is to inspire people to care about the commodities they purchase, the origin, the journey to them, and its effects on the environment. It is a daunting task, yet my approach is to provide information, tell of my personal steps taken, and inspire others to implement the change needed to create a more equitable and sustainable world. People are influenced to action based on negative or positive motivations. In my presentation today, I seek to strike a balance. I will raise awareness of the global network of the food and textile industries and their negative exploitation of water, soil, and workers. Then I will focus on the positive actions that people can take to promote sustainability in the consumption of food and clothing. Last, I am excited to encourage support for companies that are pioneers in the sustainability movement. Hopefully, by appealing to morals and providing easy steps, I will inspire consumers to reflect on their own responsibility to the environment, choose sustainable commodities, and do their own research to protect planet Earth. Whether based on principle or practical considerations, consumers have the power to choose organic, locally sourced foods and slow fashion clothing, to read labels and packaging, and to be informed of the journey of the goods, such as the excessive water and chemical usage in a world dealing with climate change. The idea of considering the source and tracing the journey of our commodities come from William Cronin's pioneering book, Nature's Metropolis. Cronin urges us, just as important, the commodities that feed, clothe, and shelter us are among our most basic connections to the natural world. If we wish to understand the ecological consequences of our own lives, if we wish to take political and moral responsibility for those consequences, we must reconstruct the linkage between the commodities of our economy and the resources of our ecosystem. This is what I have tried to do. Nature's Metropolis consists of a series of stories, each tracing the path between an urban market and the natural systems that supply it. Thus, Cronin inspires my research into the journey of commodities. In Killing for Coal, Thomas Andrews wrote, had people in the Front Range cities and mountain mining camps traced the bread they ate backwards from bakery to farm, they would have found that coal was used to bake their own loaves, coal to mill the flour, coal to refine the sugar beets that sweetened the bread, coal to power the elevators that sorted and stored wheat kernels before milling, and coal to power the locomotives that hauled golden streams of grain and piles of beets from countryside to metropolis. By the 1910s, calories extracted from coal seemed to help to produce a considerable percentage of the food calories Westerners ingested. In the increasingly industrial food system on which everyone from silver kings to ranch hands, store clerks, and coal miners was going to depend, did anything remain truly organic? In Dust Bowl, Donald Worcester explains at the new Santa Fe Railroad Depot, passengers waited for the train to Kansas City or Chicago, and boxcars loaded with fresh fruits and vegetables, post toasties, factory-made work shoes, and tire tractors waited to be emptied. Across the highway intersection was a mobile station, pumping gas refined in East Texas. Chain stores, franchise dealers, and advertising slogans all testified to the dependent role Sublet had come to play in the national economy. Like other communities, large and small, it was conceived it had to have all the products the external world offered for sale. Consequently, by the 30s, very little that was for sale in the town was produced at home. Even much of the bread that the people of Sublet ate came from outside, made from wheat raised in some other place. As money and profit remained the primary motivations, corporations failed to heed the call for more labor management and ecological responsibility. The commodities we purchase could have depleted the soil of its nutrients, used scarce water resources, polluted the environment, and exploited the human labor force. We rely on resources from the natural world. We directly rely on the food itself and indirectly on the chemicals used to grow it, including fertilizers, weed and pest killers, and the fossil fuels for production and transportation. According to the OECD, the challenges facing the food, agriculture, and fisheries sectors will increase with climate change. Extreme weather events that destroy crops, like floods, droughts, and large storms, will have become more common. Pests, weeds, viruses, and disease move to new areas and affect crops, livestock, and aquaculture production. Climate change is also altering the productivity of capture fisheries and the distribution of fish stocks, making future harvests less certain. Global agriculture and fishery systems are incredibly diverse. While regions like North and South America have a lot of agricultural land and have emerged as major agricultural exporters, other regions such as the Middle East and North Africa have relatively little agricultural land and water. In addition, many agricultural products only grow in specific climates or soils. Developing countries like China and Vietnam have displaced advanced economies as the major source of fish products globally. Malthus predicted a human population die-off due to a limited food supply, known as the Malthusian trap. But contrary to his predictions, the global food system has responded to the needs of a growing and more affluent world population. But farmers and fisheries operate in a world of constant change, and the pace of change is increasing. Consider the possibility that capitalism is based on fear, not profit-driven greed. Fear that people will die if maximum production and globalized trade ceases to meet the ever-increasing demands. This photo shows packaging with the distributed and sold by information, but not the source of the corn or taco shells. Even as technology allows greater access to information, globalized trade has removed the consumer from the source of commodities, leaving them unaware of the impact on the distant environment and labor force. Historically, humans only ate local, seasonal food, but today, consumers take it for granted that all foods are readily available. They buy fresh fruits and vegetables out of season and enjoy fish from foreign oceans. Blueberries come to America from Chile. People drink designer coffee from around the world, and single estate olive oil from Greece, Italy, or Spain is delivered in 2 days. By law, ingredients and nutritional information must be printed on packaging, but consumers have not demanded information about the source of commodities, so they are oblivious to the working conditions, are indifferent to water usage and chemical damage to the ecology, and are accomplices to the use of gasoline, coal power, and natural gas in production and transportation. Exploitation of groundwater, natural gas, and oil is causing land to sink worldwide and leading to desertification as soil loses moisture. Historically, organic fertilizers held moisture in the soil, but today's chemical fertilizers and pesticides do not. In California, where 80% of pure water is used for irrigation of cultivated crops, about 1 million acres of agricultural land is used for growing alfalfa as a fodder crop, which is exported to China. The U.S. exports 1 billion gallons of water to China as alfalfa per year. To grow 1 kilogram of wheat uses about 1,500 liters of water, and 1 kilogram of rice requires 2,497 liters. In the pre-Green Revolution agriculture, or traditional subsistence agriculture, food production came from rainwater and there was minimal irrigation. But since the Green Revolution, monoculture farming has demanded irrigation, and today about 72% of the limited drinking water is used by agriculture. Water scarcity is a national issue. The water crisis is deepening to the extent that food security is not guaranteed in the future. The national food security arising out of the Green Revolution is at the cost of water security. Food security is important. Water security is even more important. Transporting goods around the globe is inexpensive compared to paying Americans to produce them, but uses more fossil fuels to ship long distances. Companies make decisions based on money costs, not the environmental cost of fossil fuel usage that contributes to climate change. National Public Radio created the documentary Planet Money Makes a Shirt and the segment Boxes, Why You Can Send a Shirt Around the World for Pennies that explains that the shipping container was invented in the 1950s and revolutionized the transportation industry. A standard container can hold up to 82,800 junkie t-shirts. American cotton is shipped to Bangladesh, where a man's shirt is made and shipped back for 10 cents, whereas the woman's shirts cost about 7 cents to ship to the United States from Colombia. I grew up eating many organic foods, but avoided some food groups. 2.5 years ago, I decided to eat a more diverse diet to see how my body and mind responded and recorded everything I ate into a food journal. For this project, I attempted to add the country of origin for each food, but could not when many did not have the source of information on the packaging, nor the company's website that only gave the distributor's name. I quickly realized that when companies are committed to sustainable practices, they proudly advertise the information. It is inspiring to read about the efforts companies have taken to be sustainable and protect the environment and workers. Surprisingly, the California Giant Berry Farms provided instructions for tracing the source of their blueberries. I simply went to their website calgiants.com/trace, typed in the 16-digit number, and learned that the blueberries were grown in Jocotepec, Mexico. As I learned more about the food industry, I renewed my commitment to companies that are dedicated to transparency, fair trade practices, organics, and sustainable agriculture. The next slide will show what to look for when shopping for sustainable goods. Whether shopping for quinoa, rice, or exotic grains like amaranth and teff, Bob's Red Mill is a brand to support because they have made a commitment to sustainability, and our sustainability committee is working on initiatives to support nutritious food and a healthy planet. The website for Bob's Red Mill states that its purpose is to acknowledge our contribution to the environmental problems by taking dedicated steps to reduce our impact on the planet. Their vision is to be a global leader in promoting a healthy planet through our company practices and individual behaviors. They follow every step of their products, from the breakfast cereals to flour and everything in between. They state, our relationship starts at the source, with the farmer who produces the grains. We do it all ourselves, with our state-of-the-art milling, packaging, and distribution facilities located right here in Oregon. Lord Yu brings attention to the dark side of quinoa farming in Bolivia by claiming that with the rising global demand for quinoa, Bolivian farmers have increased the supply, but with consequences at the local level. They have been challenged to preserve biodiversity as quinoa becomes a monoculture. Integrated farming systems have given way to mechanized farming that has changed the land use and put pressure on the quality of soil. People eat less expensive and less nutritious bread and pasta so they can profit from the quinoa they grow. Their traditions are vulnerable to change as they eat less quinoa, which has been a staple part of their food culture for centuries. Thus, consumers must consider the moral implications and consequences on the source of quinoa. My sister sends coffee to me from a local company, Mad Priest Coffee, in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Their coffee beans are sourced from Latin America, Africa, and Asia. Their website states, we believe in producing the best coffee and equally believe in creating a business that educates and empowers. We champion real-life people displaced by war, disaster, tragedy, and gentrification. We source the highest quality coffee beans from some of the most responsible farms around the world. Every part of the process from the farmer to the roaster is crucial to an excellent cup of coffee, and good coffee ultimately begins with coffee farmers paid a fair wage and empowered to learn sustainable farming techniques. Equal Exchange Co-op has run their business democratically since 1986 and is now one of the largest democratic worker cooperatives in the country. Their website states that Each of their 130 worker owners has a vote, with the ability and the obligation to use it as they build a movement for a better food system. A worker cooperative is an alternative for-profit structure based upon standard democratic principles. It is not designed to maximize profits, nor returns to investors, but rather to bring the workplace many of the rights and responsibilities that we hold as citizens in our communities. These principles include one person, one vote equality, open access to information, free speech, and equitable distribution of resources such as income. Globally, 302 million cows were killed for human consumption in 2018. 1 pound of beef requires 410 gallons of water and a roughly 3-to-1 ratio of grains to flesh that varies if the cow was grass-finished or fed grain in the feedlot. Greenfield Natural Meat Company in Ontario, Canada produces ham that is ethically raised, vegetarian-fed, gestation crate-free, and carbon neutral. The steps they have taken to reduce their carbon emissions include avoid, reduce, replace, and offset. While pigs raised for meat are housed in open pens, industry practice is to confine pregnant pigs in gestation crates measuring 7 feet by 2 feet for their entire lives. At Greenfield, they challenged themselves to do better and invested in research and significant barn redesign to convert all the pregnant pigs to open housing, so they are now gestation crate free. When I interviewed my uncle, I discovered he is working on drawings that are metaphors for the harm humans cause to the environment. He hopes to do some moral good with this art project after working as an illustrator for corporations. This drawing shows a human embracing meat despite beast fast consumption of plants that relied on extreme water and land usage. As people become informed about sustainable solutions, they may be inspired to do the right thing, but hesitate because they believe the efforts of an individual means nothing compared to the business practices and power of corporations. Everyone eats and most people either buy their own food or can influence those who do the shopping. Individuals do have the power for change, and individual acts can make a difference, and individual acts lead to impactful collective action. All global citizens are eligible to mobilize and create a sustainable environment and improve working conditions. People act based on their belief system, so will respond to the different arguments. If they are political, they care that environmentalist causes are often stopped by governments that are at the mercy of corporations. If they are economical, they are happy to save money as they grow fresh greens in an indoor garden. Individuals may join environmental movements for social reasons and to be part of the solution. Other people are motivated for personal and moral reasons, from concern for the ecology, humanity, and future generations. I have seen my family and friends show efforts of sustainable actions, such as reusing greeting cards, wrapping, and boxes when mailing gifts. Yet to uncover their other actions and beliefs, I interviewed them about their knowledge and purchasing habits. I asked what they knew about the environmental impact and labor abuses of the global food and textile industries, then provided informative articles for them to read. I asked what difficulties consumers may face when attempting to support sustainability, if information should be more transparent, and what sustainable actions they were taking. I interviewed a 25-year-old female college student from California who shops locally, including at thrift stores. She enjoys supporting individual artists and small startup companies that are committed to change. She boycotts the products of companies that engage in labor abuses. A 41-year-old female from Arlington, Virginia, responded that she cares, but also considers if the sustainable goods are worth the extra cost. She buys locally grown food and stays away from fast fashion. A 46-year-old female systems analyst from Chattanooga, Tennessee, has heard about the environmental destruction caused by global systems and would like to know more and do more. She said that asking companies to provide source information reminds her of why restaurants were made to list the calories for their meals. She shops sustainably for many goods, including thrift stores, and stops buying fast fashions. A male in his 60s is retired from the Air Force and now farms in Minnesota. He is completely committed to sustainable living. He has solar panels and sells the excess energy to the grid. He changed his farming methods to regenerative farming that retains the carbon in the soil. He said, "My house project this year will be to install a geothermal or air heat pump. I'm trying to eliminate all carbon fuels." He is truly an inspiration to others. I interviewed a male in his 50s who is a professional illustrator living in Vienna, Austria. He is aware of ecological problems with industrial farming and the textile industry, including cotton farming, use of synthetic cloth, and sweatshop labor. He buys mostly organic food when available, but organic clothing is hard to find. He said that buying locally grown foods is hard because the information is not always available. He eats meat a couple of times a week and buys organic meat. He rarely buys new clothes since he has enough already. He is currently working on an art project focusing on climate change, on wasteful habits, and the effects on endangered animals. He frequently engages people in conversations about climate change and how we can improve our policies. People can adopt a new lifestyle regarding food, whether motivated by moral, social, economic, or political reasons. Humans need food to survive, so land use for food production is understandable. But food waste is unconscionable when food production destroyed ecosystems, sustained harsh working conditions for people, and reinforced neoliberal business practices. Further actions. People have numerous lifestyle choices available that accommodate environmentally friendly consumption of commodities. This is what to look for. Even if it costs more money, seek out companies that actively advertise their commitment and efforts for fair trade and sustainability. Buy organic foods. Eat less or no meat to save water and soil depletion from cows' grass diet, and to lessen methane that contributes to climate change. Grow your own outdoor garden. Preserve foods in season. Grow microgreens and sprouts in trays indoors. Buy locally grown food and shop at farmers markets. Don't throw away food. Minimize post-consumer waste by not buying products that are packaged in plastic containers. Support regenerative agriculture. Look for these certified labels on food packaging. When a product has an organic label, it is also GMO-free. Starting at the top left, moving clockwise. Marine Stewardship Council sets the standard for sustainable fishing. Seafood can be traced through the supply chain to a MSC certified factory. The Vegan Awareness Foundation founded this logo to certify vegan products. The Canadian Organic label is managed by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. Friends of the Sea is managed by the World Sustainability Organization for Marine Conservation. California Certified Organic Farmers. Food Alliance certification is a means for producers and companies to meet consumer demand for traceability, transparency, and social and environmental responsibility. USDA Organic is the United States Department of Agriculture certification of organic. Quality Assurance International is a private company that verifies organic international and domestic products. Certified Humane Raised and Handled answers concerns that producers have met the animal care standards. Verified Organic. The Oregon TILF Certified Organic Organization works to make food and agriculture biologically sound and socially equitable. EcoCert was founded in France in 1991 and works in more than 80 countries, so is among the largest certified organic organizations. The International Fair Trade Certification mark means the marketing and supply chain of the product met fair trade standards. Fair Trade Certified works globally to eliminate poverty and enable sustainable development for farmers. Rainforest Allegiance Certified seal means the product was produced using methods that support the three pillars of sustainability: social, economic, and environmental. In addition to making sustainable purchases, you can grow your own outdoor garden. You can grow sprouts and microgreens in trays indoors. In this year's HGTV Smart Home, it features a pantry with a hydroponic garden that has smart grow lighting so produce can be grown throughout the year. The fashion industry seems glamorous, but the awful environmental and labor conditions are hidden. Consumers must be informed about the journey their clothing has taken before they make a purchase. It is important to be mindful of sustainable fibers, ethical working conditions, and pre and post consumer waste. Fast fashion is the mass production of cheap clothing. It strives to keep up with trends so consumers buy new clothing every season. Slow fashion aims to be the solution for the problems of fast fashion. Slow fashion addresses the entire life cycle of clothing. It considers the impact on people, animals, and the environment. Slow fashion offers fair wages, is ethical, vegan and cruelty-free, and eco-friendly. It is classic designs with high-quality constructions to last a long time. The clothing is usually available in small stores, not large retail outlets. Consumers must rethink their relationship to clothing and choose to buy slow fashion. However, when people try to help the environment, there are sometimes unintended bad consequences. Many garment workers around the world depend on fast fashion for their livelihood, so new jobs must be available for them when consumers change their buying habits. Fashion is a significant polluter of waterways in countries such as Bangladesh that have weak environmental regulations and weaker enforcement. Wastewater discharge of chemicals, dyes, salts, and heavy metals not only hurt the environment but pollute essential drinking water sources. According to the CNN article, Asian rivers are turning black and our colorful clothes are to blame. To make denim for jeans, the fabric is repeatedly dunked in huge vats of synthetic indigo dye. After dyeing, the denim is treated and washed with more chemicals to soften or texture it. Getting the faded or worn-in look requires even more chemical bathing, which uses acids, enzymes, bleach, and formaldehydes. Years ago, I heard rudimentary facts about the fast fashion industry, so committed to buying organic clothing and shopping at thrift stores to ease the burden on the planet. I buy slow fashion, which is a term for the conscious approach to make higher quality classic clothing out of sustainable materials from environmentally friendly production. Solutions. Restyle your clothing, such as t-shirts, so you do not have to buy new clothes. Sew your own unique clothing. Shop at thrift stores. Fight the compulsive consumption of fast fashion that is cheap, trendy, and low quality, and invest in slow, ethical, and sustainable fashion. Choose organic and sustainable materials such as the GOTS label, which means Global Organic Textile Standard. Support local craft people. Ease the burden on the environment of both pre and post-consumer waste. Be conscious of who makes the clothing and buy from companies that pledge to protect the environment, such as the slow fashion brands like Everlane, Threads for Thought, and People Tree. In addition to our power to choose sustainable products, we can work with companies to further their missions. The Equal Exchange website invites people to join their Action Forum, a powerful new initiative connecting their worker owners with their producer partners and citizen consumers like you to create a democratic food system owned by the people, not corporations. Another opportunity is to participate with the Fashion Takes Action nonprofit organization that began in 2007 in Canada. Their website explains that their mission to advance sustainability in the entire fashion system through education, awareness, and collaboration. The Global Youth Ambassador Program is open to people's ages 15 to 25 who are ethically minded and want to use their voice to spread the messages of sustainable fashion. History is studied so we can apply its lessons to the present. Cronin, Andrews, and Worcester encouraged awareness of the journey taken by the commodities we purchase from their origin through the supply chain to the consumer. As individuals, we have the choice to buy goods from companies who are committed to sustainable agriculture and equitable working conditions. We have the choice to use our voices to educate and motivate people about sustainable solutions. these individual acts do contribute to collective action. Bibliography, page 1 and 2, just to show my sources. Thank you for listening.